Howdy, Liz.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Robot. Thank you for being here. I am Psychic Liz Cross, and I am joined, and I'm very fortunate to be joined by Mr. Robot this evening. Just a quick word before we start deep diving into this stuff. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and also make sure you are subscribing not only to the newsletter at psychiclizcross.com, so you always know where to find us, and also subscribe to the backup channel, which is the Consciousness Transformation Technique. If in the event this channel should ever be taken down, right, you'll know where to find us. So take it away, Mr. Robot.
By the way, don't forget to share videos. I mean, usually people interested in this kind of stuff have small friend circles, but the circles overlap and eventually it multiplies and
Yeah, exactly. The kind of stuff we're putting out there is like this microphone.
Yeah.
Sorry about the crash there.
Yeah, I think it was spiraling down and the microphone was catching some air resistance there.
I don't know what happened, but is that you tapping into my brain, Mr. Robot, and you bypassed the brain and hit the microphone? Because it just literally flew off my table.
That's actually something worth talking about is energy's reaction with, being able to electronically disrupt something. Mm-hmm. There's only a few psychics I've seen who can do that. And they're very old videos. I showed one on this channel. It's this Russian lady. But, I'm not the kind of person who needs to plug my work too much, but is here in case anyone's interested in talking to me. It's myhealing.site. I do energy healing. This is basically a byproduct of my level of understanding for how the universe works. I became able to flow energy through me and can transmit it all over the place. I have clients all over the world. I have a session coming up in Canada here this week, and I'm very far from Canada. So,
yes, you are.
It's pretty
cool. You have a client in Canada this week. That's great. So I would suggest, guys, if anybody is interested in trying out a Reiki session with Mr. Robot, interacting with him on that level, this is his website. You can go there and book. And so let's see what you can do with your Reiki, Mr. Robot, because tonight I believe you're going to do something to my brain. Make sure it's all good, because if you mess me up, the video is done for.
Well, luckily enough, you're so psychic that you could probably undo anything dumb, right? Anything bad.
Well, I do know how to do that, yeah.
But before I'm trying to clip this without showing their information. Let me just ever so quickly, I just wanted to share this review I just got. I did a psychic cord cutting on a gentleman, and a little bit of backstory. They were okay with me sharing this information. This gentleman, long after he worked at this place, he had a whole lot of resentment towards his boss. His boss kind of messed him over, and we removed those cords, pulled them out of him. Also had a lot of other cords that were affecting him, very sensitive in that energetic spectrum. So he felt all those attachments. We removed them. He is sleeping better, and he is calmer and more pleasant, apparently, according to these people. So just want to share that. It's like my shortest session I do is psychic cord cutting.
Great. Awesome.
So, anyways, I don't want people to assume that I am like cultishly subscribed to the idea of Reiki. What you have to do is understand that this is actually like Asian translation. Rei means like universe or a life force, and chi is energy. So this is literally just a translation of the energy of the universe. So when people say Reiki, we're not kind of saying like, oh hey, why don't you join my quote unquote religion? We're just really saying like, check out the universe energy. So I wanted to make that clear for people because I think the general consensus is that people think anything like this is subscription based in your belief systems, and that has nothing to do with what you believe in, really. And the reason that I'm touching on that is because people know me so far. My character on this channel is I'm experimenting and I'm learning how things work. I am working with energy of the universe. So we on this channel, because Liz is a psychic, we can actually have a higher dimensional perspective on what's happening rather than what people are just feeling on the third dimensional plane. So for an experiment today, I thought it'd be cool if Liz could pull in a super higher dimensional being, maybe Jesus.
Okay.
Let me know when you have. What's his? There's like a other name for Jesus.
Yeshua.
Are you familiar with that name? A lot of people refer to him as Yesus, right? Something like that.
Yeah, and there's also Yeshua. There's lots of
Yeah,
names.
Yeshua. Yeshua is the one I was looking for.
Yeah.
On a quick note, could you ask Jesus what he thinks about the difference between people calling him Jesus versus Yeshua?
He says it doesn't really matter what people call me as long as they're spreading my message.
But is either one more historically accurate?
Is either one of those historically accurate? No.
Yeah, so I never heard Yeshua until I got into the land of the woo-woo, as some people call it. I don't know if it's just me being uncultured, or I don't know where Yeshua comes from. It's never heard of it before. But anyways, I've always wanted to do this experiment, basically having. I'm just going to say Yeshua because it's a little bit more comfortable for me to say, not because I affiliate with any type of religion, but just because it's detached from what I'm used to saying. Does Yeshua, first of all, approve of energy healing?
Do you approve of energy healing? No, all healing should come from God.
Yeah, well, so that's the interesting thing about energy healing is I'm a medium for the energy itself. You're a medium for information, and information is energy. I'm a medium for information in the healing spectrum. Wouldn't Yeshua say that healing energy comes from God?
Yes, that's correct. But it should be up to source to do the healing. We've gotten this before.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, so that's what's kind of confusing is, I mean, so first of all, fate, time, soul contracts, the people I heal, it's a triangle. There's source, them, and me, and a contract for me to heal them using source. So it's this triangle, and it's I don't know if Yeshua's opinion on this is skewed out to be more in favor of the religious history versus the truth of the universe. Maybe that could be a question.
I'm sorry, what's the question?
If Yeshua's opinion on energy healing is skewed towards the history of religion.
This is skewed towards the history of the religion. Yeah, I am the religion, is what he just said.
So
I am
yeah,
the
so
religion.
basically we're talking to religion itself embodied. So actually, let's go ahead and put Yeshua on the side, and if we could actually just talk to source energy for the remainder of this experiment.
Okay.
That's okay if you can tap in.
Okay. Yeah.
What does source energy think about humans healing each other using source?
Healing each other using source. What do you think about humans healing each other using source? Well, now source says that's okay, right? Jesus is of the mindset that we should depend upon source for everything. All respect should go to source. Source will provide, source this, source that, right? And that's understandable because that is part of his role here on the planet. Now, a lot of people will eye roll and say, which Jesus, which planet? You know, I've only ever found one Jesus, the Jesus that, you know, everybody refers to, the Christian Jesus. That's the one I found. I don't actually actively go out looking for any other Jesus to come through and give us answers.
Right.
So according to Jesus, sticking with his purpose and, you know, the reason for his existence, I can understand his answer. But when you go straight to source, source says, yes, that's okay.
Yep. Well, that's what I assumed because everything is source.
You know,
if I was sharing the source energy versus source itself, right?
Right. So Jesus is on the mindset that source should be, you know, you choose to give it to you as opposed to humans taking healing into their own hands. That's the power of source.
Yeah, and you know, there's probably a million questions we can ask source on that topic. Those messages might come to me during this experiment. But let's actually use source instead of Yeshua for this experiment.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do, and what I've always wanted to do for a very long time, is this experiment. So, well, I'm going to do what I do all the time with all my clients. But I would like to have a third person point of view with a higher dimensional consciousness, having a perspective on what's happening. And I just thought of Seth too, because that's how thoughts work. Your brain is an interdimensional highway, and if I have a thought, it's probably them actually talking to me. So I'm assuming Seth also wants to join in on this experiment.
Oh yeah, you know, your usual crowd of answerers are here. even
Cool.
Bashar is waiting in the wings for you to
I'm
call on
sure.
him.
I was thinking about Bashar a while ago, but let's just have Seth and then the creator of the universe, whatever you want to call it. It's even hard to even say them in that respect because attaching. This is one of the problems I have with religion. Attaching like a personality to something as grand as the fabric of reality, like source, feels a little short-sighted to me. But let's just personify source, if you can. That's kind of how it works, it seems. And Seth, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into the zone, and it takes me a second, it takes me a minute here, and I'm going to isolate the energy and transmit it over time and space to you, and then specifically, you mentioned to try it on your brain, because why not?
Oh God.
So, if you would just give me a moment. Sorry, I just took off my glasses, so now I'm blind. Let me just put a nice photo here. Something like this, okay? And if you could just give me a moment,
That's fine. Take your time. While you're doing that, I can talk, and you let us know when you're ready. So just to let you guys know, those of you in the CTT group, we have been working so hard every Monday. We're just making such great headway. I'm so proud of everybody in our group. Thank you. If you're not in the CTT group, you need to be. Seriously, every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Central, Patreon/remote viewing and beyond. So we have been doing some amazing CTT sessions. And on Monday, we actually did something that was quite difficult, which is we were getting rid of the personality traits that are not good for us. They don't serve as well. So we just went in blind in that way. We may think that certain personality traits serve us very well, but we let our souls decide, and we actually let go several different personality traits during that hour-long healing session. And at the end of it, the information that we got was that these difficult personality traits were actually masking over, other emotions, like very vulnerable emotions. So for instance, if you're dealing with somebody who's always angry, they're very angry, you don't want to approach them. Well, there's a reason for that. They're always angry because they've been hurt so bad in the past, and they project this angry demeanor in order to keep people away because they don't want to be hurt again. And same with anxiety and depression. Anxiety and depression go hand in hand oftentimes. And I found that the link between anxiety and depression through the CTT is the fact that the anxiety is trying to prevent any more trauma coming, coming in the way of the individual, because they're already suffering with depression. They're very prone to being depressed. Therefore, if you have that anxiety buffer, maybe you're preventing a traumatic event, which will send them spiraling into a massive black hole of depression that they may not be able to get out of. So it's just a phenomenal group. Are you ready, Mr. Robot?
Yep, got your brain right here.
Oh, God. All right. I actually feel you moving around.
Yeah, so I'm kind of moving the brain around. I'm reorientating it, feeling. So what's interesting about the brain is locations of thoughts that happen within a brain. So I'm kind of probing each area.
I can feel you in my head.
Each area has,
oh, Lord.
Uncertain for me to really tell, but what I feel are like energy blockages, and my whole job is to release them. And so anyways, the real interesting part, as Liz already attested, she can feel it, but even higher dimensionally speaking, let's ask source energy why I can tap into your brain like this.
Ooh, that's a good question. Why is it that Mr. Robot is allowed to tap into my brain in this way? Because we all have a consciousness, a conscious connection to one another. We can connect to anybody. Now, for those of you that have been following me for a long time, you know that I can connect to anything living or any inanimate object that holds a consciousness. So I agree with that answer from source. That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel you moving around up there.
I know, it's so funny because I keep moving my hands around, so it's
you're right at the top.
It's so funny that you're picking up on that, because I'm I'm always moving when I'm working because it's the only way I can continue to feel. But could you ask? Well, actually, that's bringing up another question. If the universe is holographic in nature,
Is the universe holographic? Sure. Only parts of the universe.
okay, we'll save that for another video. I've already talked about it many times. Let's ask if source energy is channeling through me right now.
Yes, you're pulling on the bank of source energy. So we've got this, he has this bank. I say he, it's not gender specific, but whatever. Don't shoot me. But, we have this, their source has a bank of energy that we can draw from. You cannot connect directly to source and pull the energy because it's so powerful that we would actually spontaneously combust.
Although I do try.
Hmm?
I said although I do try, I don't mind combusting.
Okay, well, my microphone I thought was going to. Do not make Liz catch on fire here in the seat, because that's the end of the show, folks.
Yeah, I don't think my energy core is big enough to withstand that much energy, and we'll get into that in a moment. But the whole point of this is to take on an outside perspective. Can you ask Source what it is I'm feeling right now, energetically speaking?
My emotions in my brain.
And let's ask Source, what is happening as I basically maneuver around these areas?
You're at the back of my brain now, the back of my head. What is happening as he's moving around these areas? You're cleansing.
Cool, that's exactly what I would assume. Let's ask Source how specific an energy healer can be to a very specific problem.
As specific as you want to. You can go down to the cellular level.
Cool. Glad you said cellular because I was just thinking cellular, but because there's this like essentially I want to say psychic healer, and what's cool about him is he kind of takes the way Liz can perceive, and he can like see himself in your body, and he like lasers parts that are not good. But what's really cool about him is he actually sees it, however you want to call that, mentally or whatever. He sees it the way Liz sees his holograms in her room, and that's what's cool about that guy. He's just called like the psychic healer doctor, something like that. You can just Google him. But next question would be, is this the same kind of energy directed towards source that monks use to like catch paper on fire?
Is this the same type of energy that monks use to catch paper on fire? No.
What is the difference between what is associated with Reiki versus what monks use to like combust things?
What is the difference associated with Reiki that monks that use energy to spontaneously combust? They have more access than you do.
Cool. That's also correlating to something we got in the past. I love when the past proves the present, because I'm not good at remembering too much, but I remember a lot of our videos, and
Don't remember any.
I was talking to basically a passed on Chinese monk or whatever, and he said I was only using about 3 out of 10, and that I would need about 7 or 8 out of 10 to like make stuff fly on fire. So it correlates to what you just said. So that's my verification. But Your brain's feeling pretty good. I don't feel too much more waves. Let's have source. What are the waves that I feel around the brain?
Electromagnetic signals.
But do they signify blockages?
Yes, sometimes.
Or physical ailment?
Yes, yes, they you actually can pick up on a lot of information just by tapping into the electricity of the brain, the bioelectricity.
So yeah, your brain's feeling totally perfect now, 100% perfect on my end. Let's just verify. Can you ask source if I basically healed as much as I could heal in this moment for you
Yes, yes,
regarding your brain, right?
yes. Did you pick on anything specific?
Well, see, that's the problem. I wish I was psychic. For me, I just feel areas, and all that means to me is I focus there and I channel the energy, and then they dissipate, and then it becomes smooth. And I just feel basically a lack of resistance, and that's how I know it's done. The area is done. That's the extent of all my work with people, and that's kind of what I want to verify with source, because I verify it with my clients all the time. They feel it, but like higher perspectively speaking, why does the energy healer stop feeling in a certain area with their client?
Because that energy is cleared.
And how would source define clearing an area on a human? Well, what does that mean?
So you're just moving energy around and you're moving energy away.
But let's ask source, how beneficial is it to do that for a human?
Very beneficial. You can cure diseases in that way, according to source.
Oh, I
But you would
believe it.
have to work on people a lot.
Oh yeah, I've cured a whole lot of things. If anyone doesn't know, you can check out some of Liz's past videos. I talked about how I had a non-cancerous tumor. I dissolved it in 3 weeks with energy. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, I know I sound like a broken record. A lot of people probably are bored with energy healing stuff, but I just think it's so interesting.
There's so much you can do with it, I mean, the CTT is a form of energy healing, but it's going back into the past life. So whereas
yeah, there we go.
Can you do Reiki on a past life?
So yeah, you just brought up some really cool topics there, because if I use this certain symbol according to my understanding, and I do this for people. So oops, I didn't want to do tattoo necessarily. So I do this symbol. It's called Seiheki, and I actually did it on your head a little bit. My understanding, this just basically works in a very healing. This is what I would use when people have. So I get a lot of clients. Most people just want to do like uh general work, let's just say. But some people have like major ailments, and this is when I use this symbol. Um, there's actually another symbol. I feel like the answer will be no on this one. Let's just jump straight to the one that I think will actually be a little bit better for this question. Well, I don't know. Let's just ask source. So look at this Japanese writing. I don't speak Japanese, but I do know like my English interpretation is Honsha de Shonen. Can you ask Source if this allows a Reiki practitioner to heal the past on a human?
So you're saying past life or past this lifetime?
Well, let's just say just past in general first for now and see what happens.
No.
What does Source think about this? Let's just call it ideogram.
It's like the basic level. Again, letters and numbers are very, very basic mathematical equations or mathematical answers or answers to mathematical equations, actually. So letters and numbers and symbols are all just, the answer to complex questions.
My level of understanding, I wish I could understand the way Source sees it, of course. But literally, if I don't draw this symbol in the air, I don't get the same level of vibrational uplifting that I would feel if I didn't. And we tuned into this idea that this ideogram is like preparing your mind for the opening of space and time for Source to flow into. Is that correct from Source's perspective?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, well then let's just roundabout come back to can Reiki energy heal past life trauma on a current body?
Yes, but you have to go down to the DNA level.
Okay. Cool.
Have you ever worked on somebody's DNA?
Well, so that's the thing. That's kind of what we were talking about before the video started. Is to me, it comes down to your thoughts. So the person who trained me, something that she said that was really cool was like, let me kind of think of what she would say. She would kind of say like each cell is receiving the Reiki and like expanding and multiplying and dividing and bouncing into each other, which is on a DNA. Well, actually, that's on a mass. Well, I don't know, 100 times bigger than a DNA strand, but I think she was touching on the idea that she was manipulating DNA. So I may not inherently say I'm working on DNA, but I use this symbol and I have worked on my past self with this. So I don't know if that's worked or not. I'm in the present, so it's hard to say. But according to Source,
can I ask a question? Do
yeah.
you have to follow these exact strokes here?
No, I don't actually follow the numerical order because I'm not Japanese. I don't know the order, but I will end up drawing it mostly. Something that's very interesting, though, on that note, now that you bring it up, is there's this one person who is way more psychic than me. Let's just say maybe a little less psychic than you. And when they would draw these, they would see them floating in the air in front of them. And she would see a spirit guide next to him. And the spirit guide would say, don't worry about it, I'll fix it. And then the spirit guide would manipulate these things in the air and make them go into the right path and then would activate it. And that's kind of when you would see this, to someone who's way more psychic, it would, because I activate it too as well, but I don't see it. So that's why I'm like invested in exploring this idea I'm not looking at this from a terms of like cultishly, drawing something on like a mirror. I'm interested in the fact that I am opening space and time in a certain way. And why does this work?
It just helps you better connect to source. It's just basically an intention. It's setting an intention that this is what you want to do, and it's sort of letting the universe know that's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. What is the universe's role when someone pulls energy into their body?
So what do you mean by that?
How much is the universe involved with the present when an energy healer is working?
So the universe is basically just assisting you finding where you need to go, right? So it's sort of through energy. It's sort of like, yeah, we know where he needs to go, so we're going to send him and make sure he connects.
Okay, and then the right there is the question of why does the universe want to help?
It's their job. It's the universe's job to help.
But on that same note, does the universe ever mess up people's lives intentionally?
Well, does the universe ever make mistakes? No, the universe never makes mistakes.
But does the
That
universe
is a good question.
Does the universe ever sabotage someone's life?
Does the universe ever sabotage someone's life? No, someone sabotages their own life. The universe is just the conduit.
Does the universe believe in predestination?
Do you believe in predestination? Absolutely. Everything's predetermined. Now, this is an interesting thing that I was discussing earlier today with somebody who was doing CTT, which, by the way, we're working on cracking this code, right?
Mm-hmm.
The most fascinating thing about her soul, and I come across many different types of souls, and her soul says, yeah, I'll play your game, source, I'll play your game, but I'm playing to win. And I was like, wow, I've never had that before. But
it makes sense though too.
Yeah, it does. But what was so interesting about that session was that we had a soul contract that was created long ago, right? In the spirit world. We're both relatively the same age, and we both, grew up in the same era. But yet we made a soul contract before we got here that we would have this conversation today, this session today on Zoom.
Oh,
before there was the internet, before, because the internet wasn't around when we were kids, right? And before there was, broadband and Zoom and YouTube and Google and all of these things. So everything is predetermined.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's listened to me debate this with our non-physical counterparts, my opinion is that all potential realities have been scripted, and not necessarily that we are on a specific path, but rather that we are in any path we want to, but all paths have already been scripted. Mm-hmm. Which is a little bit different than some people's understanding of predetermination.
Well, I mean, you could think of it in this way. I woke up this morning and I saw the sunlight, right? I woke up and I saw the sunlight. That was already pre-scripted. That was already predetermined, long before I got to the earth plane. And it knew exactly what time I would wake up and see that sunlight. And you have to think about the speed of light, right? It's just very fascinating. So my contract, my body had already made that contract with the sun that I would see the sunlight this morning, long before my soul entered into the earth plane.
Yes, but the point is, I'm trying to make is basically.
So let's ask that question, because I've never heard of that concept of 4 or 5 souls trying to occupy the same human fetus. Is that true? That's 4 or 5 souls trying to occupy the same human fetus? It can be true. Is that what happens every time? No, that's not what happens every time, because then the other thing that worries me about that concept is the fact that we reincarnate with our soul families, right? So, I know for a fact, before I came down to the spirit world, I handed my list over to some soul sitting behind the desk in electric blue outline, and basically approved my list and was very impressed. And then I had 2 souls standing next to me that I hugged, and I said, "Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm coming down." And I remember coming down the tunnel. Okay. And, those 2 souls that are, I said goodbye to, and I hugged, and I said, "See you down there." They're part of my soul family.
Mm-hmm.
What bothers me, if I want to get a little personal, and I was talking about this last week, is, before I was coming down the tunnel, I knew that my potential husband, or my soulmate, one of my soulmates, we have more than one, right? We have
Oh
many
yeah, we do.
soulmates, right? The concept of soulmate has been totally destroyed by human thinking. But anyway, and I knew that he was already down here. And I was so excited. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. And, now, after many years of marriage, not saying I'm unhappy or anything like that, but, it's challenging. And it's like, wow, I feel a little betrayed by, how excited, not just with that, but just how excited I was to come down here. And I feel totally betrayed by it, because, then we have to go through these awful experiences. So a lot of times we need to offer ourselves like some sort of inner forgiveness, due to the fact that we, betrayed ourselves, and we had, this type of thinking that was completely wrong, according to what we thought was going to happen. Hold on just 1 second. So who is this lady?
So I would actually like to probe Source and maybe her soul on something. Her name is Trisha Barker. Can you pull in her soul?
Yes.
Okay. Can you ask her soul if she talked to Source when she had her near-death experience?
Did you talk to Source? Yeah, so with her consciousness, she's saying yes. So you're right. I need to go to the soul level. Did you talk to Source when you had your near-death experience? No.
Can you ask her soul what the presence was that she felt was Source was when she had the NDE?
It was like a worker for Source.
And let's go ahead and ask Source why, when people have NDEs, they meet something that represents itself as Source.
they have representation of, sorry, my little one wanted to kiss. They have representations of source. It's to make them feel comfortable. It's
Okay,
to
so
make them feel some sort of reassurance.
so the last question really is, does source interact with humans, face to face, ever when they die?
No, never, because the power from source is so great, you cannot get next to source.
Okay, so when people get NDEs and they basically interact with quote unquote source, they're just meeting like spirits, basically.
Just spirits, basically. Representatives.
Can you ask if these representatives are higher than angelic beings?
Representatives higher than angelic beings. No.
Or at the same level? Are they basically angels?
Are they basically angels? No, much lower down.
That's bizarre. Yeah, I urge people to check out some NDE videos because that's kind of something I want to probe a lot. And I was actually always looking for this person. I can never find her name. She has a really cool video. I actually recommend listening to this one where she talks with Shaman Oaks. It's the only one I've seen, and I can just tell you it was a good one. I want you to watch a video that isn't great. What other questions should we touch on the brain? Did you want to go over some questions you had?
If you don't mind, some of the subscribers, they're the powerhouse with all the
Right.
information. They're the brains behind the machine, right? I'm just the machine.
Right.
They're the brains behind it. They give us great questions. We'll probably have to break this down into multiple parts. Yes, if you want to ask.
Yeah, let me just pick some good ones. Let's ask source. How much water should a human drink for our brains to work well?
How much water should our human brains drink to work well? About 10 glasses of really filtered water per day. Room temperature is best.
Oh yeah, definitely. You want room temperature. Are there any benefits to psilocybin to the human brain?
What is that?
psilocybin, psilocybin. It's the main psychotropic ingredient to like mushrooms, like the mushrooms that people take.
Are there any benefits to the human brain? No, only consciousness, not directly to the brain. So again, we're being given that information that consciousness is separate to the human brain.
So can you, on that same note, can you ask source if there's any relation between psilocybin and relief of chronic headache?
Yes, because it's chronic headache is due to stored emotions. And so when you're letting go of the consciousness can go into the universe and possibly locate healing. That's what ayahuasca is doing. It's basically your consciousness being let go, being put into the universe, and hopefully somebody out there will grab it and heal it, and then it comes back down. That's not always the case with ayahuasca or any of this stuff. I don't particularly advocate for it because I don't like losing control of my consciousness. I like for my consciousness to try to stay intact as much as possible, simply because I've done those experiments not under the influence of, hallucinogenics or psychedelics or whatever, but just where I can, I can remove my consciousness and let it float around. And I've, had run-ins with the dark, and it's not something that you want.
Oh, yeah. But on that note, let's actually just very briefly touch on the idea that as humans, aren't we naturally protected from the dark?
As humans, are we naturally protected from the dark? To a point.
All right, well, that's another video. Does the brain have anything to do with astral projection?
Does the brain have anything to do with astral projection? No, it's consciousness.
Yep.
Is the brain responsible for a level of consciousness? Yes. The brain projects the consciousness. It's the basis of the consciousness, even though the consciousness is living separately to the brain.
Does Source see humans ever having synthetic brains?
Ooh, does Source see humans ever having synthetic brains? Yes.
Would that be to help us, or would that be just become like robots?
Would that be to help us? No, that's just experimentation. I feel like that's already been done, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
It has. Okay, and what was the reason behind creating a synthetic brain? To show how it's doing computation. So whereas we are having very limited access to the power of our brains, they're trying to manipulate the brain, the synthetic brain, to have the full power to do complex computations and penetrate the universe. So basically, I feel like there has been experimentations to create the synthetic brain that would be sort of like mine, psychic, have that ability to be a psychic medium.
If there's anything we can do to sync ourselves to the vibration of the angelic realm.
To sync ourselves to the vibration of the angelic realm. Your consciousness can reach that vibration. How do we reach that vibration? But it's really at a point of completely letting go of your consciousness and having 100% trust and faith in God and the universe. Most people are not capable of doing that.
Does like binaural beats help with that?
Does binaural beats help with that? Yes, anything that can detach your consciousness.
Does the size of the brain matter truly for consciousness?
Does the size of the brain matter for truly with regards to consciousness? No, because you can have something that is extremely small brained and have a very big consciousness. So the example that I just got was like that of a mouse. A mouse has a very small brain, but has a very large consciousness. Is everybody's consciousness roughly about the same size? That's a yes, as in living things. Now, there's more simplistic consciousness. So if you're talking about a blade of grass or, a leaf or, something really small, do those have the same level of consciousness? No, they have very simplistic level of consciousness. In terms of energy, are they the same size as a human? Yes. So there we've learned something new, that even something as small as a blade of grass or a seed, we all have the same space or capacity or size of consciousness as any living thing here in the universe.
Would Source say that the cartoon Pinky and the Brain is a good representation for the consciousness of a modern mouse?
I don't even know. I've never heard of Pinky and the Brain.
Wow. Really?
I don't know, man. I'm just,
Super famous.
I've never heard of that. Is a Pinky and the Brain an accurate depiction of what is going on with consciousness in the brain? Somewhat. What
Or
is
like
this? Tell us what this is.
well, so what makes this funny is there's these like mice who live in a lab. Every day they escape when the guy isn't looking, and they like try to take over the world. And the idea I'm trying to get at is there the same kind of consciousness in a mouse where they have ideas of grandeur, besides just wanting to run on a spinning wheel? Are they thinking of the world?
No, because they haven't had that level of exposure. What I'm getting is they were bred in these labs and they've always had these, life in these labs. That's all they've ever known. When you learn that there's life outside of that regular existence that you're experiencing, that's when you have the consciousness or the emotions behind the consciousness to plot the escape.
Yeah, so Plato's allegory of the cave, this is basically plagues me every day because this person was raised on this side of the cave, and their entire interpretation of their own universe, because they never had books or anything, they're in this side of the cave, is this wall, and all they ever know is the shadow represented by something beyond them, beyond their comprehension, outside of this realm. So, you don't know what's real until you hop out of that, from 3D to 4D or whatever. So, our perspective on reality is always going to be limited until we get this next step, and then the next step, the next step. So that's kind of what I want to uncover with my probes. If people have questions on how to probe that exactly.
And that's, and that's very representative of exactly what we go through as humans. It's never, everybody wants to manifest and they want to manifest it yesterday, right? But if you think about even that depiction that you just gave to us, that's how things are unfolded. They unravel. We only get to be shown in little dribs and drabs. It's like a drip feed, right? You only get a little bit, and that builds upon a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's the same thing with healing. Healing is a process, right? And I think that's where a lot of people are mistaken with regards to healing. They want it and they want to be healed, and they want to be healed now. They don't understand. It's taken so many years to build up that level of information, right? You're taking it down brick by brick. And healing is that way. I mean, yes, of course, there's always miracles, but my definition of a miracle is actually that miracle was supposed to take place. That was in your contract. And the reason you were supposed to experience that miracle was to make you have really like optimal gratitude for source and your life. And you learn a lot of life lessons through miracles. So, this whole thing of manifestation, healing, acquiring knowledge, even as a psychic medium, I didn't start out this powerful. I started out, little bits at a time and building and building and building and unlocking. And that's what we do is we unlock.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Representative of the mice question, you said they have the capacity to have the same level of consciousness as us, but that they haven't had the opportunity see what's outside of their world. All they know are basically the shadows on the wall. And that's the bigger and bigger perspective. It's like, what's the next shadow on the wall for a human? Maybe we can ask Source, what's the shadow on the wall for a human in regards to Plato?
What's the shadow on the wall? So a lot of times the shadow on the wall was the product of imagination.
Well, what I mean is, what level of reality would we be as humans be surprised is not true?
So what percentage? What
No,
percentage
no. Yeah.
of reality?
What layer of reality would we as humans be surprised about is not real, not true?
Okay. Which is not true. Well, the concept of hell,
Okay.
the concept of what we determine as enlightenment,
Okay.
the concept of miracles, the concept of existence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Existence is a big one.
This
Existence
is
is.
the human plight. We've
Yep.
been trying for, and not just humans, but even animals. But as humans, we have a more complex brain. We have the ability to go this far out, with consciousness. That this is the human plight. What are we doing here?
So, just for the sake of fun reference, for your and my and the viewers' understanding, let's just say that this is us. Let's just say that this is reality. Just ask Source who this is that is manipulating our reality. Who is this in the universe?
Who is this in the universe that is manipulating our reality? Ourselves.
Would this be considered our higher self?
Would this be considered our higher self? Yes, the soul. So the soul is manipulating the conscious mind reality.
Would Source say that the soul makes the entire reality that's around each individual?
The soul that makes the entire reality around each individual. Yes.
Cool. That's what Bashar would say. That's what Abraham Hicks would say. That's like what all of them would say. So that's cool.
So what do you mean by that?
Oh, Bashar would say that you are in a dream, and that when you die, you basically wake up and you go, "Wow, that was a weird dream." that we are, as many other beings have said, higher dimensional beings that are taking basically a brief vacation into a lower dimension to gain experience. So, it's
Well,
very
that's
weird.
accurate.
Yeah.
And thinking about how many lifetimes we've lived, that our present lifetime in the grand scheme of things is actually quite irrelevant. The fact that we're sitting here wondering how we're going to pay our bill, or our car won't start, or our freezer's broken, or whatever it is, I'm snowed in, whatever it is, it's so minuscule compared to the whole lifespan, not just in the present life, but I'm talking about the timeline, that your entire soul existence on your own personal timeline. What we think are these massive problems, they're actually really small. And that's where I think the frustration comes in. It's why are we forced to experience these really just terrible struggle, problems when they have nothing to do with what we're trying to achieve. But Source is saying they have everything to do with what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, well, so what's funny about that is, as you were saying that, I'm imagining my soul laughing because you say miserable stuff, like why do we go through these miserable things, and basically every human can agree that we have levels of misery. And I have to imagine, based on our conversations, that our soul is fully revved up and ready to participate in misery, because from a soul perspective, we find it very interesting.
Well, not only do we find it interesting, but it contributes to our path of ascension.
But like, our soul isn't sad, or I feel like our soul is very eager to participate in pain and suffering. As you just said, it helps elevate us quickly.
It is eager to participate in the pain and suffering, but that eagerness to participate is when we're not in the human body.
Oh yeah.
We're outside of the human body. We are planning and plotting. And then it's when we get in, that was the whole thing about, oh, I can't wait to see everybody. I'm so excited. This lifetime, they're going to be my parents. So I know that for a fact, just based on that statement alone, that I've been their parents before. And then this lifetime, they're going to be my parents. And we have all this excitement, most of us, not saying everybody, most of us on a soul level, we have this excitement to come down here. And then we get here and we're like, okay, this is truly awful.
But so that's the weird part, is how much should we pay attention to our physical minds, perceptions, like, we think it's miserable, but I feel like you got to find the higher self in yourself that appreciates whatever pain and suffering you're going through, because you wouldn't have signed up for it if your soul wasn't ready for it.
Were we ever forced to sign up for this stuff? No, we're never forced to sign up for the stuff that we are going through. I mean, our stuff are, relatively mild compared to people living in war zones, people living in landfills, children abandoned in third world countries, street kids, boat children, things like that, children that are trafficked. I mean, those types of things. Are they ever aware at how difficult their life is actually going to be? Well, see, you get an avatar, you get assimilation, you understand, but it's the emotional attachment that we have to go through, the emotional pain. It's the emotions that make us like to say, well, this really isn't for me.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this is a good representation where your soul could be a gentleman in a top hat, and your body could be just, something else. And I think that's, a good point for this conversation.
Yeah, that was really good. I mean, I'm trying to process the information that we're learning. I am using the CTT. It's very powerful to do some very serious breakthrough stuff. And there's a couple of people I'm working with, and we're trying to make these massive breakthroughs and crack the code. And once I am able to process and figure out this information and and learn how to put it in an organized way, then, obviously, I'll be able to better reveal that information. It's going to take a while though. It's really hard to navigate while we're here. And
Oh, yeah.
most people are totally oblivious, right? I mean, the people that are watching us, their souls at least have this level of curiosity about themselves. I have to find meaning, I have to find purpose. But think
Yeah.
about all the billions of people out there that aren't finding meaning. They're not finding purpose. They're just going through the motions day to day. They're atheists or whatever, and they don't have a clue. They don't have a clue. And the problem is, their souls are so detached from their consciousness that they haven't learned anything. So they'll have to repeat. I say that all the time. You will have to repeat. You want to leave with as many resolved issues as possible.
So I have one last question for Source, and then we'll call it a day. Source think the dogs near this place.
Chernobyl.
Yeah, I never know what you want to say or not. If they are basically reaching an evolution point because of the radiation, are they evolving?
Are they evolving because of the radiation? Yes, the radiation will force evolution. That's a good question.
Are they not injured by the radiation anymore?
Are they injured by the radiation? Yes, it's caused permanent injury.
Yeah, so I don't know. This is something I just wanted to touch on because scientists are super interested in there's all these dogs just running out around. This radiation is very high here, and I assume some scientists are probably kind of shocked that they're still alive. Kind of what you'd have to assume by reading into it.
What
But
is so interesting is that even though these dogs are experiencing a level of evolution in order to, assure future survival of the generations, that even if they do not reproduce and have, puppies, that their DNA is still communicating with the collective of the species.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And that's just come through. So let's ask Source, are we on a human level, even though somebody may be experiencing, pollution and toxicity, and their DNA is evolving to cope with that high level of toxin? Do we have a knock-on effect, even though we're thousands and thousands of miles away? And yes, that actually affects everyone. Now think about how big a statement that is, right?
Well, instantly, my first thought is if humans that are elsewhere in the universe, the evolutions they've made in their DNA, is it transmitted all the way to our DNA on Earth?
So humans evolution elsewhere in the universe, is it transmitted to our DNA here on Earth? No, not if it's outside source law.
But assuming there are other humans within Source's law in the universe, would their human DNA affect ours?
No, that was a good question.
Because they're too far away?
Because they're no longer connected. They broke the connection. When you go through like black holes and things like that, you're basically going through these vacuums where you're disconnecting from your previous reality of what the universe is into a new reality. That's what I'm getting. I have no idea about this stuff. I think the highest grade I ever got in chemistry was like a 14. Seriously, I'm terrible at chemistry and physics, but now I know why.
Well, yeah, I feel like everything is running in parallel, and you know, other sides of the black hole, there's other versions of humans, and they have their own versions of source energy. So whatever. But cool. That was a good video.
That was a good video. Again, if you want to keep this channel alive, please like, subscribe, and share this information. We would love for you to do that. If you want to be the brains behind the machine, you need to join the Patreon for $3.50 a week. Patreon.com/remote viewing and beyond. And if you want to book a Reiki session,
Yep, you can go to myhealing.site.
excellent. Thank you very much.